When taking on a fix and flip project, you want the best quality work for the best price. You want skilled, knowledgeable tradespeople with reasonable pricing that can add value to your project. I'm going to show you 3 houses today that I've recently done interior paint jobs on. I'm going to show you what I paid to get these houses painted and what I got for the money. I'm doing this video series on costs associated with common projects on fix and flip houses, such as granite countertops, flooring installations, exterior paint, and in the case of this video, interior paints. If you would, check out the other videos in this series, subscribe to the channel, give me a thumbs up, leave a comment, let me know if you've done any similar projects and what they cost. Let's go check out these 3 houses. Let's talk about interior paint projects. What does it cost, and what are some factors that can affect the price or the cost that you're going to have with an interior paint project? So right here you can see that he's using an airless paint sprayer to apply the material. So application is one of the major things that can affect your price. Are you going to use a sprayer, which is probably the quickest method in most cases? Are you going to use brushes, rollers? What do you prefer, or what does this contractor prefer? And so that's going to affect your price. Also, on this house, you can see it's all one color. The trim, the walls, the ceiling, the doors, everything in here got painted, but it was all one color. So if you have multiple colors, that can also affect the price because it's going to be more labor, and it's going to be different colors that you have to buy, so it can affect the material as well. On this particular house, we used a higher end paint on all the walls and ceilings and higher end primer because we had a lot of staining. You'll see in a little bit the before of this particular house. And so that's going to affect your material cost. You know, you can buy a 5-gallon bucket of primer for $99, $100 for a 5-gallon bucket. Normally, if you're just using standard issue, like a Kills 2 or something like that. On this particular one, we use Kills Restoration, which is somewhere around $300, $275 for a 5-gallon bucket. And we use 15 gallons of that. So we got 3 gallons of the Kills Restoration, put it on this house, or 3 buckets, sorry. And 10 gallons of paint. We used a higher end paint. We used Behr Marquee, all the same color, but the Marquee line's a more expensive interior paint. And so the material cost on this particular job here was about $1,400 for material, and that's with, you know, all my discounts at Home Depot and everything like that. So could possibly have been more without the 15 or 20% discount that I get on material there. The labor for him to spray and prep and do all the work in this house that he did was $1,800. In this job, from start to finish, took probably about a week of prep, and then painting, and then getting everything out of here. I'd say it took about a week or so to get this one done. So $1,800 for labor, approximately $1,400 for material in a week. This is a cleaner job here. This was all new sheetrock. So they have to, you know, this was already ready. This was not a new house, but new sheetrock throughout the entire house. So that's going to affect your price too. You know, what do the walls look like? Is there going to be any repairs that need to be done? Or, you know, are they going to have to patch, shoot texture, match texture? Are you going to use multiple colors on the trim compared to the walls, compared to the ceiling, compared to the doors? So the more switches and transitions between colors, the more money you're going to have to spend on labor and material as well to get that job done. So this one has different color. It's all white, but it's a different sheen of white on the ceiling, and it's a different sheen of white on the doors and trim compared to the sheen of paint and color that's on the walls. And looking back, probably should have just gone with one color on the walls and ceilings, and then maybe a different sheen, you know, because we use a semi-gloss on the doors and the trim there. But this house here, we used about 7 gallons of primer since it was new drywall. We had to, you know, put primer on the drywall so it wouldn't soak up all the paint. And then the paint, we used about 5 gallons of paint for the walls and ceilings, and then 2 gallons for the doors and trim. So this was a small house, 671 square feet. And The labor on this house, about $2,000 in labor and $600 approximately in paint material to get this house done. Smaller house, cleaner house than the one that you saw previously. And this one, the air conditioner was running the whole time. So that's nice too. You know, if they can paint in a hot house or a cool house, I get asked all the time, is the air conditioner going to be running while we're painting? If not, you know, it's less desirable for them to do it. It may affect their price. Some things to keep in mind too is their availability. When you're talking to paint contractors, you definitely want to get multiple bids so you can talk to multiple tradespeople about some of the issues you're facing with that job and get some of their ideals and feedback as well. On this one, it's got high ceilings. So you want to ask them, are you going to be able to get up there? What method are you going to use to get up to the ceilings and the high walls and stuff like that? You know, they can bring in scaffolding. Are they just going to use extended rollers or sprayers? You know, just so that way you know. And then what one contractor tells you, you can take that to the next meeting with the next paint contractor and say, hey, would you guys be using scaffolding or would you use whatever method that the last guy told you? It makes you sound more knowledgeable, so then they don't think that they're dealing with somebody that has absolutely no idea, and that can affect your price when they're talking to you as well. Ask them what application method they would use. If they have a particular brand or type of paint that they like to use, cover that in the initial meeting too when getting bids. You know, if they say, well, we don't like to use this brand, or they may say, we'll paint whatever you want, whatever you buy, we'll have it there. But ask them, you know, okay, is it going to have good coverage? Because you may have, like on this particular house here, we had an accent wall before that was a real deep burgundy, dark red. And they said, well, we'll do 2 coats on the whole house. I said, okay, well, are you going to be able to cover this red with 2 coats, you think? And he said, well, no, but they also had to do some repairs on that wall. So they sprayed a texture coat, which gave them the coverage that they needed. So if they say 2 coats, that's great. But you want to make sure that you're going to have a finished product. I've seen it before where you have like a cedar wood or something that they're painting over and it just bleeds through, and they'll say, well, we told you we give you 2 coats, and that's 2 coats. If you want us to do more, it's going to be extra. So you want to make sure, you know, if they're going to do 1 coat, that's fine too. But tell them, I want to make sure that we're going to have full coverage at the end of that 1 coat. So those are some things to keep in mind as well. Definitely want multiple bids. You want multiple opinions too. So the bids associated normally with price, but you're also trying to get multiple opinions on the job as well, as far as what methods, what paints, any issues that they see. And just tell them that, do you see anything that's going to make this job difficult or that might be a problem once we get into the job? And they may say, yeah, I'm looking at this right here and it's an issue. Sometimes they won't bring those up until they've already started, and then they'll try to, you know, increase the price of the project. So, hey, we said we'd paint the house for, you know, $6,000, but we've got these holes here. Do you want us to patch those? Yeah, patch those. Okay, it's another $500. Oh man, I wasn't expecting that. But if you cover that in the initial meeting where they're more motivated, you know, they haven't got the job yet at that point. So they may say, well, look, if you give us the job, we'll patch those for you. Okay, great. So you have more leverage, more negotiating power at that point. So you want to cover as much as possible in those initial meetings to make sure that everybody's on the same page. And then what you cover, if you're meeting with 3 or 4 different contractors, you want to take notes on each one so that they're not coming back and saying, well, you said this, and, you know, oh man, that was the other guy that said he would do those patches for free and I didn't go with him. Oh man, now I'm in a bind. So take notes on what each contractor said they would do and what the price was, so all your business is in order. And then, you know, I'll normally text them and say, hey, look, we talked about this job. You said you would do this, and this for this amount of money. I'll send that to them in a text and verify it, and they'll text back and say, yes, that's correct. Okay, here's the terms that we agreed to. And that's the lowest level. You know, you should be getting, you know, written contracts as far as, you know, work orders and what we're going to do and things like that, so that everybody's covered and everything's squared away and there's